Riese, the catalyst that ignited the modern era of what we know as Call of Duty Zombies. As time slips away from our grasp, the feeling of playing this map for the first time does not, with the map's flawless execution in story and gameplay. While not an extremely complicated and intricate map like that of Origins or Ancient Evil, Riese still provides some of the best gameplay loop out of any Zombies map spread across every game in the franchise. So let me transport you back to the extremely early days of Call of Duty Zombies into a time filled with innovation and possibility. As many of you already know, Call of Duty World at War was the first to feature a Zombies mode with its introduction to the mode in Nacht der Untoten. As the DLC cycle ensued, we got introduced to new features along the way with Perk-a-Colas, new characters, and a new wonder weapon in the Wunderwaffe. Verrückt and Shinonuma were both respectable maps in their own regards, however they had some issues. Verrückt, a genuinely terrifying map atmospherically with some of the creepiest ambient noises ever, increases the difficulty with almost no hesitation and does not back down on those narrow corridors or tight corners. However, Shinonuma, a mysteriously captivating map set deep into the swamps of Japan, almost seems to lack any difficulty at all, with the zombies being capped at 24 per round, leading to some interesting round achievements. So with these two polar opposite maps, it leads to some desire for a middle ground, as Nacht der Untoten doesn't really settle the ideas shared in these two maps, as it lacks the features introduced in the DLC cycle. On August 6, 2009, the world was introduced to the final piece of the World at War Zombies saga, the one and only Riese. Once again, following its DLC predecessors, Riese introduces a new system in Pack-a-Punch. One of the main complaints of those playing the original World at War games was that the guns felt lackluster and ineffective after a certain round, especially on Verrückt and Nacht, with there being no wonder weapon to help cope with the situation. However, with the introduction of Pack-a-Punch, players can now upgrade their guns for a steep purchase of 5,000 points. The monkey bombs were also another introduction to this map, alongside the Bowie knife and teleporters, and they were all welcome additions, allowing for the map to be played with better flow. Riese also introduces the first glimpse into the idea of an Easter egg. Although very simple, it still provides the bare bones ideas of what to be expected from Easter eggs to come in the future. Those were the very simple ideas added into Riese. However, it is a much deeper rabbit hole than that. Now, as an old favorite of the fans, it is very easy to irrationally praise this map for what it actually is. But because of that, similarly to maps like Der Eisendrache or Shadows of Evil, people begin to lose sight of what made Riese so special in the first place. With the release of Riese, the start of modern zombies as we know it officially began, with the formula of this map being seen in literally almost every other map released after it. While maps may be different with harder distinctions between Riese, the core formula that the map established is still there. Kill zombies, turn on power, get perks, access Pack-a-Punch. It is a process we have seen countless times from zombies maps new and old. Without Riese's influence, the modern zombies formula might be completely different from what we know now. However, looking past the formula, what Riese did extremely well is tie the very loose ends of the story together while also leaving some to hang for theory and speculation. Up to this point, zombies had a story with very little substance, just a couple of writings on the wall and a radio here and there with no connection in sight. But Riese begins the treacherous journey and establishes a very simple story that is extremely easy to follow, with minute details hidden for those keen enough to look for them. This was the first map that we had seen so far that had flawless cohesion and flow, as the previous maps that we had seen seemed to just have added new features to see how well it stuck, rather than focusing on making a genuinely smooth gameplay experience. The layout of Riese is by far an immaculately crafted masterpiece, with areas blended together with bridges and stairs, with the few dead ends that there are, including the new feature of teleporters to get you right back into the flow of the map. It is an extremely easy layout to understand, with there only being a couple doors to open up the entire potential of this map. What never ceases to amaze me in this map is that the flow and enjoyability is determined by a single feature: Pack-a-Punch. With the introduction of Pack-a-Punch, the idea of progression was created within the player. Although very simple, the idea of game progression had really not been seen previously in the maps that came before it. But with Pack-a-Punch, the game progression gets extended immensely with a new goal of upgrading your weapon. Progression allows for the creation of a rewarding feeling within the player once they complete a certain task, and it's one of the aspects that makes zombies so enjoyable and replayable. Finding all of the different upgrades weapons received was a truly captivating experience because some weapons received unexpected upgrades. For instance, the Colt, which was usually dropped off and forgotten about on round 4 or 5, can turn into an absolute powerhouse when upgraded with the unexpected explosion you get when you shot it. The gameplay isn't all that carries this map, however. The atmosphere of this map is truly unique compared to its predecessors. While it is toned down in the horror department, it still provides an increased feeling of mystery. We get to discover that this is a research facility used by members of Group 935 to do crazy testing, and what is so cool is that we can actually use some of the items that were created here to our advantage. We use things like the monkey bombs and Pack-a-Punch to our advantage, but it enhances the experience knowing that these weren't just here magically. Rather, they were actually created and made here, allowing us as the player to use the environment to our advantage. It's such a seamlessly integrated mechanic, and Riese is the perfect map to introduce the Pack-a-Punch machine. Now, I can already hear some of you in the comments griping about, oh, how Riese is not a good map and Origins is better, oh my god. But please hear me out. Without Riese and the introduction of game progression, there would be no such thing as a staff upgrade or in-depth Easter egg. There is a reason that many other maps that came after Riese used its layout to a T, because it simply just works perfectly. A great example of this is Gorod Krovi. Although the map feels like a completely unique experience, it really isn't. Stripping it down to its simplest form, it is a starting area that branches off into 3 separate areas, each with dead ends that lead to Pack-a-Punch once you ride the dragon. Sound familiar? Well, if you just replace Ride the Dragon with Take a Teleporter, you have Riese in a nutshell. So with that said, I think it's about time to summarize this up. What I think modern Call of Duty Zombies fails to understand is that simplicity is a great thing. However, make the game too simplistic and we have an issue. See, Cold War is a very easy game with almost unlimited ways to reach high rounds, but what it lacks is identity that allows for depth into the story and speculation to be created. What Riese did so well is mixing that complexity with a simple layout and easy to understand features that make the map cohesive. Without Riese, Call of Duty Zombies would be in a completely different spot, and the things that this map did for the franchise cannot be forgotten. This was the first ever full Zombies experience, and what came after it is simply an experience crafted around it. And with that said, as always, it's been a pleasure, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.